Today, I'm going to bring you a zombie movie. A kangaroo sounds pretty strange, doesn't it? But AI might suspect that a little kangaroo could have thrown the whole town into such chaos. So eventually, humans are degrading. These two worlds have become so crazy. Let's follow along with the movie. Right after. The film begins in a mining town in Australia. Two miners roam the side of the road after thawing CA. Suddenly, they heard a noise coming from the forest. When they turn on the flashlight and look around, just in time to see two bright eye spots flashing and flashing out. The next second, a miner is pulled by a powerful force into the bush. The other panicked and ran away. But unfortunately, he was quickly knocked to the ground by something. The next morning, Sheriff Martin got word from the mine owner, the disappearance of two workers. Upon arrival at the scene, they found the mutilated bodies of two victims lying on the side of the road. Martin was confused. There's never been a large predator in this area. How did the two miners end up dead? Now the master hunter Peter stepped to the mystic. Tell people that yesterday while hunting, he encountered a mutant kangaroo. It's up to 2 meters long. It's a solid body with muscle bundles. Even if shot a few times, it's still running around like nothing's happened. Martin mocked Peter because he thought he wasn't sober. If you're a kangaroo, you can kill people. Then she quickly took the bodies of 2 miners to the morgue. To examine, the old forensics told the experience of discovering. The victim's body also had strong VA wounds and animal teeth marks. He concluded that the 2 workers were killed first. Then the body is thrown out into the wild and eaten by animals. Martin felt this was the most plausible explanation and quickly localized a suspect. A bald-headed miner, he frequently fights and has been accused of manslaughter. Although there's no definitive evidence, Martin decided to lock him up. This murder has left the whole town confused. But when I heard Martin had the suspect, everyone breathed a sigh of relief, thinking their lives can finally return to normal. But as soon as I got home, Martin got another conviction. A panicked family announced that their son had gone out for an evening run, but I haven't returned yet. No one expected that when the boy walked through a forest. You've come across a strange black shadow. You try to run, but you can't. Just in time to let out a scream of pain and despair. When Martin drove to the victim's family, found the child's body torn apart by the side of the road. The mother in pain cried indignantly. Questioned, "You said it was safe." The female police officer was very ashamed. "You blame yourself for being too complacent." Throughout her life, she has always considered her late father as a role model, but in the end, you let things get messy, Ren. My mother reminded me to find the right way. Martin's father, it was because he was so conservative and stubborn that he sacrificed himself while chasing criminals. Sometimes we need help from outside. It can make things easier. I was reminded of the words of Peter Martin. He suspected that he might have been right. The real culprit is a mutant kangaroo. So that night, Martin immediately went to Peter's house. I hope I can convince him to do it. Help destroy the monster, even though Martin had mercilessly ridiculed him earlier. Peter accepted immediately. By him and Father Martin, they used to be the best friends. Upon hearing this news, the mine owner also decided to act. He assembled a group of hardened miners. He said he would hunt the monster with Martin to avenge the 2 workers. We've lost 2 groups of people in the mountains. According to the plan, the miners will search around the mine. Martin and Peter went into the forest. Martin's mother worries her daughter is in a hurry, also determined to follow. 3 people parked at the edge of the forest, each armed with a rifle, then go straight inside. To a river, they quickly discovered something unusual. On a nearby vacant lot, there's a tent covered in blood. They carefully approach, but the tourists inside have long since died. But what caught Peter's attention wasn't the bodies. Death is the river in front of you. It was always clear before, but now it smells terrible. He figured that the mine was using illegal chemicals, polluting water sources, and maybe that's what caused the kangaroo to mutate. Meanwhile, the miners also found a terrifying clue, a dying bison with a flaming bite. The investor immediately speculated that the monster kangaroo was very close. The whole team scatters out to search carefully every step of the way. But soon after, a chilling sound echoing through the darkness, a miner was suddenly attacked. His teammates rushed to the rescue. Shoot the monster. However, despite being shot, the kangaroo is as healthy as ever. The remaining miners fled in panic. But unfortunately, they're mostly chased by monsters and kill in the blink of an eye. In the end, only the head of the miners was left. He frantically hid in the car to return to the mine to call for reinforcements. But the kangaroo seems to have a grudge. It can't be explained. It's coming at incredible speed, like a wild horse crashing into a car. The car lost control, crashed into a tree along the road. When Martin arrives at the rendezvous, as planned, everything you see, It's just a pickup truck that flipped over on the side of the road. The head of the group of miners lay dying on the ground. It is unclear whether he was injured by the accident or by the monster. Before he could say a word, he breathed. In the end, the hunt was a total of 7. Martin felt a deep 7-fold surge of hope. You can't believe that a kangaroo can be that scary. Martin immediately returned to the town to warn the people. But just sitting in the car, the kangaroo shows up. He tilted his head and smashed the car window and tried to rush in. Martin pulled the trigger. The kangaroo screeched painfully and shrugged its head. She immediately stomped on the foot of the galloping car. But in Martin's heart, he's not committed, especially when you see a kangaroo that's alive and wrinkled. She decided to steer suddenly to stab the monster to death. But it seems that the kangaroo's intelligence is not low. At the moment of decision, it quickly dodged aside. The car missed its target, crashed into a tree along the side of the road. Fortunately, the speed is not too high. 3 people in the car were not injured, but the car was badly damaged and could not continue to be used. Hunter Peter observes around a ring, but there's no sign of the kangaroo. I guess he was pretty badly injured too. The hunter's house isn't too far away, so BA people decided to ride all night there. Not long after, they're going to a house made out of reclaimed containers. They immediately use the radio to inform the people of the town. Don't go out. At the same time, send a request for assistance to the Chu School police. But the party felt this place was too shady. If the kangaroo attacks, it can't be defended. After the discussion, the group decided to return to town at night. I can't believe I just got in the car. The kangaroo appeared again. Martin quickly rolled out of the chair. 3 shots fired at the monster. They were finally able to escape its pursuit. Not long after, 3 people came back to the pub in town. But what surprised Martin was that people don't listen to warnings. They're still sitting around drinking and talk like nothing's ever happened. Martin just shook his head and deliberately exaggerated the situation. Tell the story of the miners being wiped out to make them panic and go home. Right then, Peter, who was standing outside the guard, suddenly shouted, "The kangaroo is here." Not only that, all the wounds on him have healed. People were terrified to retreat into the pub. Martin knows the power of the monster. If it's not entrenched, no one can survive. We're all working together to get everything. It can be moved to block the entrance. At that moment, the police car whistle sounded. Then out. Police Chief Joe received the report and came to check. The party looked out the window and saw that he was alone. I immediately panicked and shouted, "Get in the car." But Mr. Chu didn't even understand what was going on. The kangaroo came from the darkness, straight at you, and in a split second, he had it open in front of him, all of you, to witness that horrible scene. Everyone is in a cold sweat. Martin felt this kangaroo, no different than a zombie. Its powerful speed, it is fast and has a strong resilience. We can't let everyone, gathered in the hall like this. Martin decided to send them to the shelter. You will be the last man standing. Peter knew he couldn't persuade Martin to change his mind, so he decided to stay and fight with her. Even though they both tried their best, the monster's power was still beyond imagination. The kangaroo rushed in. The crash caused the big door to break apart. Martin and Peter quickly rolled behind the bar. Although the kangaroo is strong, but its observation isn't very good. It goes around in one turn and still doesn't detect any signs of humans. Martin pulled out a stick, signal for Peter to throw to the other side of the room, and the kangaroo was immediately attracted to the sound. Turn your head and run towards it. Martin looked at the picture of his father. Suddenly, there was a sense of ineffable courage in my heart. You walk out of the bar, aim directly at the kangaroo and pull the trigger. It's like bullets have been fired for a long time. The monster only suffered minor injuries. Right now, Martin's mother tried to ring the bell to attract his attention. Kangaroo in a moment. Martin immediately grabbed the iron axe. The monster came down when the monster came. Seems to deal with this kind of monster, cold weapons are more effective. A kangaroo's head cut off and stung couldn't be more deadly. The people in town breathed a sigh of relief. I can finally go back to normal life. But no one expected that. When the old coroner opened the morgue door, 2 bodies of miners who were bitten to death. Stand up again. They've turned into zombies. The unlucky suspect was detained next door, just in time to hear. There were loud screams coming from the next room. The story of the kangaroo is not over. This little mining town. I'm facing a nightmare. It's even more terrible. This is the whole content of the Kangaroo Mutant movie. Although the movie doesn't tell us exactly how the kangaroo mutated, but through a couple of scenes that flashed in the middle and the end of the movie, it can be speculated that it's the mining that's polluting the river. After drinking contaminated water, the kangaroo turns into a carcass-like creature. Ghosts are not only resistant to bullets, but can also spread Lyme virus through bites. This is the basic characteristic of zombies. The overall film is nothing special. Content is also quite shallow. The whole story just revolves around the chase scenes and counterattack without brains. AI's like monster movies and bloody scenes. You can try the original.